the Papaver somniferum, the sleep-inducing poppy. Its sap can be turned into the most powerful narcotics in the world: opium, morphine, and heroin. Drugs that kill pain and induce joy in the brain's neural centers. They also control digestion, body temperature, and breathing. The right dose lets the wounded sleep undisturbed and the dying smile in painless peace. But overuse creates a lethal physical addiction that results in suffering and death. Withdrawal from prolonged use results in agonizing pain.
Brothers and sisters, this is a Behaviour Revolution. My name's Mark, and welcome once again to Bridal Affairs, where we're discussing the important things that matter to Yahusha's bride. We're not worried about the affairs of this life. There's more bombings and things happening, people driving down esplanades and wiping people out. There's drugs, there's chaos, it's all happening in the world, isn't it? But we're not involved in the affairs of this life because we're a soldier for Yahusha. So, we're interested in what Yahusha's saying to his bride in these treacherous, perilous times coming towards the end. So today I want to ask you a question. Was Yahuwah's wife a heroin addict? Was Yahuwah's wife a heroin addict? Now, we've talked about the world being drunk and the world being this and that for a long time now, but there's actually an explanation for it. We're going to use words like wormwood, like gall, bile, words like that, hideous words that don't leave us with a nice feeling. But today we're going to talk about this, and we're going to explain to you through the research what's in the cup that the woman's holding. Yes, I know it's all about teachings and mindsets and how the world is drunk on false teachings, but the world is also drunk in the natural physical state as well, not just spiritually, not just asleep, and not just to Yahusha's word and his ruach, drunk on the mindset, but it's also drunk and intoxicated in real life, in her physical state. Mankind is drunk and intoxicated. We're going to look into that today. Do you know what gall is and what they have been doing with it for centuries? Do you know? Have you ever had a drink of snake's venom? Ugh. Did you know that the wife of Yahuwah was a heroin addict? So when we look at these flowers behind me, they're lovely, aren't they? Who could say that something is wrong with a glorious field of flowers? Who could say that they're wrong? They're stunning, they're gorgeous. But these flowers are called the poppy and produce a fluid substance only at night in the darkness. They have an emission. That's why they've been symbolized as the male. Because everything's male and female, fertility, sexual, everything, everything's got to be brought back down to that. It's all pagan, everything like that. But these flowers are called the poppy, and they produce a fluid substance only at night in the darkness. This fluid is then collected and treated, then used as a narcotic. Once injected or smoked into the bloodstream, it produces a hallucinatory reaction that takes us into a euphoric state of mind. Takes us into a euphoric state of mind, brothers and sisters. All from this lovely little plant, the poppy.
Though condemned in 20th century America, the poppy was once honored as a gift of the gods. 6,000 years ago, ancient Babylonians called it the joy plant and drank the sap or dried it into cakes of opium that were eaten to enhance the pleasure of sex. Centuries later, Alexander the Great used it to conquer the world. He gave it to his army and carried the poppy to India, where it flourished in the subtropic sun and grew more potent. Opium's dangers were documented as early as 150 AD, when the physician Galen warned that opium must be used sparingly, and added it was better to endure pain than become bound to the drug, a concept today called addiction. But in an era of kill or cure practices, like hacking off limbs, pulling out teeth by hand, leeching, scalding, cupping, and waging war with swords, opium was a miracle drug. Smoking opium is a new way of consuming it. One breath sends the drug's chemical endorphins to the lungs and onto the brain. At the strike of a match, opium's joyful highs are more intense.
Did you know that? They take it. There's over at night time. It oozes out an emission, and they take that and they treat it and they use it as a narcotic. It has hallucinatory properties to take us into a euphoric state of mind. Today the fluid is called heroin. Heroin. But in the days of Egypt and Babylon, etc., they called it gall. The Roman guards even offered gall, heroin, mixed with cheap wine to ease Yahusha's pain, while he was on the stake. But he refused. So there's a lot of research you can do into the words gall and wormwood and things, and what they actually meant in ancient Hebrew times. And we're going to look into it a lot today, brothers and sisters, because it's going to open our minds to what's going on around us. Because as in the days of Noah, so it is today. As in the days of Scripture, so it is today. So let's look further and deeper into this. It's very fascinating.
Over the course of 6,000 years, opium evolved from a blessing into a curse. It started as dried sap people ate to kill pain and feel joy. But by the 17th century, an accident of history changes its route to the brain and lays the foundation for the world's first drug epidemic. Opium's curse isn't limited to China. In the 19th century, it yields another narcotic to a chemist looking for a way to make opium stronger. The result is the most powerful painkiller in the world, and the most addictive. The new narcotic will both bless America with the relief of pain and plague it with the worst epidemic of drug abuse in its young history.
They want your sweet, innocent girls to take to booze so they can be enticed into honky-tonks by slick-haired vultures who prey on the flower of American womanhood. I say alcohol must go.
In the decade before the Civil War, many believed that the most dangerous drug in America was alcohol. By 1851, 12 states had banned it, but people still drink. Alcoholism is common. A new drug, extracted from opium by a German named Friedrich Serturner, appears to cure alcoholism. The drug is morphine. Like opium, it kills pain and induces euphoria. But morphine is a better pain suppressant, 10 times the strength and requiring minuscule dosages. Pain or not, the fact is, morphine also kills. To his eternal sorrow, Friedrich Serturner, the pharmacist who synthesized morphine, witnesses the death of his wife from an overdose. Horrified, he warns the world of its dangers, but the genie is out of the bottle. Morphine, once called God's own medicine, is the most addictive and deadly drug in the world. Though it kills pain, it also kills, and at the very least causes depression and misery from withdrawal. A drug's potency is increased by the way it reaches the central nervous system. Once opium is smoked instead of eaten, the high comes faster and the cravings become more intense.
Even back in the time of King Shlomo, King Solomon, it was happening, the idolatry. They were getting into a euphoric state, taking the emissions from the poppy seed, treating it, and they were having strong wine with it, so they're just knocking themselves out completely. Let's look more. Back in the days of King Solomon, it would be like after a hard day's work in the courts of Israel, King Solomon would be looking forward to going back to his plush palace with his hundreds of wives, sitting down in his remarkable extravagance to watch the evening's entertainment. Of course, with a glass of gall. This is what they had back then, guys. Gall. Heroin mixed with wine. This was at the end of Solomon's old age when his sin and idolatry was full blown. Of course, the wives of Solomon led him into all the forms of idolatry which comes with drugs and enticing demonic manifestations. The sin of Solomon led the rest of Israel, the wife of Yahuwah, into drug addiction and whoredom with demons. We know about all that. That's how the unclean spirits bred with women. And the Nephilim, the deformed creatures, were formed from that, from mixing herbs and tampering with the genome and all that. It all came from plants and nature and everything like that. But the unclean spirits taught the women how to do it. Well, now we see also from this poppy plant that heroin came about. Gall, they used to call it back then. It wasn't called heroin back then. It was called gall back then. And you look through the scriptures, it's gall and wormwood this and gall and wormwood that. It's all through the scriptures. So, Yahusha hated it. Yahuwah hated it, and it was not permitted. But you can see Solomon got right into it, and it was part of his idolatry. They get into trances and they knock themselves right out. Mix it with strong wine. Insane. Israel's behaviour became worse than the surrounding nations. Worse than all the pagans around them. Israel became worse. And this caused Israel to split into two nations where she had to be judged and punished for her disobedience. Gallish intoxication, heroin, is the product that brought Israel's behaviour into a reprobate status. All the glory of her splendour was taken from her and she was destroyed. It truly shows us that our sin will find us out. So, we've heard about the idolatry and bringing the tree into the home and the Christmas tree worship and the idolatry and all this madness and paganism. But it also came down to drug intoxication and sorcery as well. And it led Israel astray, and she was cast out of the nation, split, scattered into the nations. Yahuwah was not going to put up with it. When we look at the party life of today's youth and we see how they are being deceived by the still flowing and dripping poppy of seduction, gall, we see their behaviour being changed into another undesirable word. What word is that? This word is described also as a herb, which is mixed with wine, snake venom, and heroin, all at once, and is called wormwood. Also meaning the teachings of men. So we've heard it referred to the teachings of men. I'll send you wormwood. You know, that everyone's drunk on wormwood. The world's drunk on the false teachings. You know, but there's an actual product, an actual plant that produced a bitter wormwood. All right. All these drug hallucinatory experiences really haven't changed, and today the gall is more chemically lethal and is still destroying our youth. Because our generation has not searched for Yahusha's truth to pass down. It is our fault that they are dying because our generation refuses to break away from religion and stand with truth. We are rude, obnoxious, and deceitful to Yahusha, just like Israel was. Of course, judgment for such unrighteous behaviour is imminent, and how long will Yahusha be before he breaks through the clouds and brings light to this very darkness we live in? Have you heard it put like that before, brothers and sisters? We've heard about the idolatry. We've heard about Israel led astray by King David. He was in his prime, and then Solomon led them astray. King David was great, fantastic, made a few mistakes, but he had a heart for Yahusha, Yahuwah's love and his word, and he was a wonderful, genuine man. But his son, Solomon, got led astray by all his wives and pagan worship, and this pagan sorcery, intoxication, gall. I didn't know it like this before. I'd heard all the cliches and the teachings, but I didn't know it like this. It's the same product that's around today, all from the poppy seed. And it was called gall. And in other places, it was mixed with wormwood and snake's blood. They used to drink all these things, and they're still doing it today. They're promoting it to all the youth. And all the youth are just getting wiped out. And it's really, really sad, brothers and sisters. And we need to be aware of what's going on around us. Yeah, we've said, yeah, it's like The Walking Dead. Everybody's drunk and everybody's nuts. But this is why.
In 1898, a German chemist derives a new alkaloid from opium. Like morphine, It suppresses pain, coughing, and appetite, depresses respiration, slows the heart, and induces euphoria. But what no one knows is that it has horrendous side effects. It causes the greatest physical dependence of any narcotic, infects the heart lining, and causes liver, kidney, and lung problems. Withdrawal is sheer agony, pain, insomnia, and vomiting. The drug is heroin. Heroin joins opium and morphine as America's most frequently used medicinal drug. It is sold in stores and mail-order catalogs. Sears and Roebuck packages heroin doses with a syringe, 2 needles, 2 vials, and a carrying case for $1.50. Doctors use it to cure morphine addicts. What they don't realize is that heroin becomes morphine after it metabolizes in the liver. There is another difference. Heroin is more deadly.
Heroin.
Since the battles of Alexander, the fruits of the poppy have relieved the suffering of war. But today they are a cause of war, the war on drugs. What was once held sacred and hailed as miraculous is now taboo in a modern world that has seen the dark side of the awesome power of opium, morphine, and heroin.
What is Gallish behaviour? What is Gallish behaviour? Now that we know ancient Israel was a drug-dealing cartel to the surrounding nations, it gives us so much more understanding as to why Israel was punished and destroyed. Narcotics and sorcery, idolatry, do not mix. Ancient Israel was slammed by Yahuwah and its remaining people carted off into captivity. Israel became a wasteland, just as prophecies predicted, from a glorious nation to a dust bowl, all because of the use of gall, heroin. Yahuwah will not stand for this mixture with his Torah. He wants worship from the heart, not drug-induced. To see if modern Israel are up to their old tricks, we just have to look for the signs in their behaviour. Tell me, is homosexuality accepted? Are drugs available? Is witchcraft manifesting through the acceptance of multiple religions? Is the name Yahuwah and Yahusha being slammed? All these signs are the most destructive indication of the worst inward attack to any nation, Gallish behaviour. Not only was gall a physical intoxicant, heroin, but had developed into a self-destructive behaviour which was called Gallish behaviour. Check out what gall means in our modern behaviour and study the explanations of its meaning so you can understand the danger we can all be in if we use such behaviour. So brothers and sisters, you need to check out what gall means, get a dictionary and look up the word gall and see what Gallish behaviour really is, and see if it's in your fruit, in your behaviour, because it's got to get burnt out, brothers and sisters. Using such behaviour in our daily lives is rendering a curse to ourselves, just like the effects of heroin. This behaviour renders us an addict to bad behaviour. This is why Yahusha had to destroy his wife, Israel, because of her Gallish behaviour. Look around and see if this exists in your daily life, even in other nations. Have a global look and tell us, is Gallish behaviour dominating our societies? Are our nations addicted? Are they, brothers and sisters?
On today's menu, across the globe, what's delicious is questionable. Why would you eat that?
Excuse me.
Absinthe, aka the Green Fairy, aka madness in a bottle. It's as famous for its fun reputation as it is for its bad reputation. Why, Van Gogh even drank it for inspiration. So what is this naughty little nip? Absinthe is a distilled spirit made with anise seed, fennel, and wormwood, an herb that's received shout-outs in such ancient texts as Pliny the Elder's Historia Naturalis and that classic page-turner, the Bible, for its use in treating parasites and repelling gnats. Jesus! Annual absinthe consumption in France increased 15-fold to 10.5 million gallons a year. But this popularity brought concerns about absinthism, a disease allegedly caused by thujone, a neurotoxin found in the wormwood. The chief symptoms were violent behavior and terrifying hallucinations. Public opinion turned in 1905 when a Swiss farmer killed his family after drinking 2 glasses of absinthe. A big reason people are drawn to absinthe is its legendary status in literature, film, and art. Hemingway and The Lost Generation were fans. It's basically become shorthand for bohemian inspiration, with a beautiful, fascinating accompanying ritual.
It's just so, like, stingy.
Good God. I mean, that's a lot of booze. What time is it?
It's good. It's like water or something.
If you want to slam it, you can.
I haven't eaten yet today.
It's just a mouthful of black jelly beans in your mouth.
You feeling anything?
No. I'm feeling
Like I could be getting drunk soon.
Seen anything? Floaters?
Not seeing anything.
Oh, it gets super cloudy.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's cool.
Or are you feeling its effects? Or are you seeing anything?
You know, like shrooms are like a 10? Absinthe is like a 2 on a scale to 10. It's f***ing awesome.
I still have to do work today.
Yeah, I know.
You sure you're not tripping? You're not feeling
I
anything?
feel like I'm really light.
You about to like control a marionette? What is wrong with you?
I'm fine. Totally fine.
The ending is nice. It has like a nice punctuation of like mintiness at the end.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Is this legal?
Yeah, whatever.
I think we're gonna hallucinate and see fairies.
This fairy has a big old butt.
Get him with those curves.
This looks like an erotic potion.
Do mine's a little more lemony?
Peppermint. Black licorice.
See, that's why I thought it was Jaeger.
We're supposed to pour the absinthe up to a bubble.
Let's put a sugar cube each.
When
This is like witchcraft.
maybe one a little over the bubble, but
Yeah, you know, it's
know.
a Tuesday.
We open this tab onto this sugar cube.
Let the games begin.
Oh, that's adorable. What a beautiful beverage
these are-
machine. Can I like touch it?
The Europeans are classier at drinking than we are.
bloop, 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 bloop.
The equivalent of this for us is just like shotgunning a beer.
Imagine you're like in another country. Meet me for absinthe. Watch the water drip. Talk about Sunday.
It's putting me in a relaxed state.
Kind of makes me have to pee a little.
Yeah, got that heavy flow.
You got that heavy flow.
Ew, mine's so milky.
Mine looks like lemonade.
Alka-Seltzer.
A cloud.
I thought to the rim. That's how I like my drinks. Fill it to the rim, honey.
I want to take this to a picnic and enjoy it with someone I love.
I think it's cool that there's like this intricate drinking system.
Yeah, so much decorum. Should we talk about politics or something that's going on in the world?
This looks a lot like semen.
Mine looks like pee.
Cheers.
Cheers to 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, I like that.
That is very pleasant.
I think I just grew chest hair.
Oh my God, but I have work to do.
Yeah, this is kind of scary because it's so good.
Tastes like a slightly licorice iced tea.
It's like spa water.
You're chugging like a perfume.
Where's the fairy?
Do trippy trade.
You're saying trippy trade because it's gonna make us trip.
Uh-oh. Look at her. She's
Excuse me.
drunk already.
I'm not.
Let me know when you guys start feeling it.
Am I gonna trip balls? Look at, there's a fairy right there. That's gonna be us, Chris, in like 10 minutes.
This means I'm gonna go back to work just like, party over here, bitch, what?
Thing is, both of us have pretty high alcohol tolerances.
Whoa!
I am starting to feel it, yeah.
Oh, I think that this is here.
A straw is just a urethra.
I'm in another realm.
I'm starting to feel a little bit whimsical.
When did that sneak up?
And I'm drooling.
I have cotton mouth right now too. What is happening?
Kind of feel it forward in my face.
And my hands feel different.
It makes me feel nice though.
Oh,
Yeah.
your face looks so soft right
I
now.
know.
Can't open his eyes.
No, what is happening to my eyes right now? My eyes are so small.
My editing is gonna go really well. I'm just gonna kill
I kind of
this
feel
like
high energy though.
Oh.
How do you feel?
I'm just concerned about my eyes being like this permanently.
Light is. Do you not feel like the light
No, yeah.
is like?
I started looking at that one.
I feel
and
very
was
like photosensitive right now.
I've literally been looking at this one spot in the room this entire filming.
Can you like not look people in the eyes right now?
No.
Try and look at me without laughing.
I
Ready?
can't.
I know that I seem stressed, but I'm really a happy girl, and I love everybody.
Me too.
Also, can we talk about this glass?
Oh, this glass.
Oh, this glass.
Dear Lord, it is exquisite.
Shana Paul, so me gusto din.
Going up.
on a Tuesday.
Hey, this chiclet's gotta go down. This one, it's just like a ball hanging there. Go down.
She's talking to the water droplet.
Man, this shit's crazy. It was illegal to produce, but he did it anyway.
I feel like I've discovered my reflection for the first time. Like I looked in the mirror and I saw who I really was, but there's no mirror. It's just alcohol.
Immediately, I feel like I took 3 shots.
A whole night out in 5 minutes. What is that science?
I want to do this again. I'm like kind of disappointed it's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday.
Drive safe and be responsible.
Yeah, and make sure that you shave your pubes if you're gonna drink this.
It's crazy to me to think that people drink this as like the regular alcohol in other countries. You people are crazy, but correct.
So now we're going to be using our absinthe fountain to add that 4 to 5 parts chilled water. This is an absinthe spoon. It's basically slotted and it rests neatly right over the top of the glass. We're going to add a single sugar cube. And what you want is for your water to slowly drip over your sugar cube to help it dissolve. So we're almost done here. All right, so traditional absinthe service style. You'll find this in a lot of Persian cafes even today. At home, if you just have a couple of coffee saucers, that'll work just as well. A doily is always a nice touch.
This one also, I can smell it from here. It smells
Yeah.
great. Yeah, it's refreshing.
It is. Professional tip would be do your homework and find a good absinthe.
Maxwell, thank you so much.
Of course, it's a pleasure.
So we're going to go into the absinthe effect. Now look at the effect of absinthe. Look at it. Look at this guy here. These are the after effects of absinthe. Absinthe is called the Green Fairy and is said to be the doorway to demonic revelations. This guy's been on absinthe. Look at him. This is what's happening to our youth, brothers and sisters. To the nations. They're intoxicated. All sorts of vile concoctions, snake's blood, absinthe mixed with heroin, mixed with strong wine. Look at him. He's just wasted. He's off his face. This is the state of the youth. And they just think it's funny. They're laughing and, oh, look at this guy. But a lot of people overdose on this as well. Heroin. How many people die from heroin overdose? Look at him, he can't even stand up. The mixing of gall, heroin, and wormwood is what brought Israel to its knees. Once you see who is behind this, you will understand so much more. Idolatry and drugs were the sucker punch that addicted this world to the cup of abominations. See, it wasn't just metaphoric, it wasn't just symbolism, it was actually real as well. Remember, the scripture can be interpreted on many, many layers. So wormwood was an actual thing. Gall was an actual thing. Mixed with bile, mixed with snake's blood. And now they're turning it into heroin. It's the same thing really. Today it's called heroin. And absinthe. Fruit of idolatry. It's best to really search such things as the contents of the great whore's cup. And see if you are partly carrying any of her curses and any bitterness. Remember, that's what's in the cup. Curses and bitterness and idolatry and whorings in the great cup that the woman holds. riding the beast. That's the system that we live in. Everybody is drunk. And literally, most people are drunk. The youth are being carried away right before our eyes with the use of gall, heroin, everything from the poppy. Gall, heroin, absinthe, strong liquor. People are being told not to worry because these strong drinks today are okay. But it damages the inside of the body. Not only that, it affects the brain cells, and they tell us that there are no side effects. Imagine the addictions the Israelites went through, the orgies and the guilt that strikes you when you next see one of your sexual partners in the street whilst in a sober state of mind. You remember your lustful behaviour and feel ashamed. You might even say to yourself, how could I have said and done such things? These are just some of the situations in people's lives that you may encounter whilst shopping or amongst friends having a coffee. It is called strange behaviour, and these people or friends try to hide their behaviour. But their strange behaviour doing this makes it obvious something is not normal. They will let whoever saw their reaction take the blame rather than be discovered themselves. These behaviours are happening all around us, and strange behaviour is fast becoming the norm. It is because of people's addictions to sexual appetites, drugs, alcohol, all trying to hide their guilt. Our nations are under a curse, whether we like it or not, and the behaviour that manifests from these lusts is violence. Violence is beginning to reign, brothers and sisters. The world is becoming a very, very violent place. People are being told that believers are being told they need to move over to Israel. Why on earth would you move over to Israel? That's the heart of the violence. And it's spreading out into the rest of the world. Every week there's a bombing. There's a suicide bomber. Yesterday there was a guy driving down the street in Nice, in France, wiping people out until they shot him. Something's going on with the French people, isn't it? It's happening everywhere, brothers and sisters. The beginning of birth pains. Scripture says, look in Matthew 24, these things are going to happen. Don't be surprised, and you don't need to write long articles about it. We're not even supposed to be getting involved in the affairs of this life. We know it, we watch it, it's happening all around us. We don't have to argue about it. It's pointless. We want to be tapping into what Yahusha is saying to his bride. Because if we're tapping into what he's saying, and we're being obedient, and we're perfecting our behaviour, and he is changing and we're becoming obedient to Torah, he's changing us, then we're protected. We don't have to worry about all the plagues and the curses and the bombings. You can't run, you can't hide, you can't build bunkers underground and go and run and hide. What happens when things start falling from the sky? What happens when there's floods? What happens when the fire consumes the whole earth? Do you think your bunker under the ground is going to save you? No, because even if the fire couldn't touch you, even if you were kilometres and kilometres underground and the fire couldn't touch you, the reapers will. The reapers will get you. So brothers and sisters, this really blew my brains out. All about the poppy. The innocent little sweet, stunning looking poppy. The red flowers. Overnight they extract the juice out of them and they treat it. And they turn it into heroin. Back then it was called opium. They still call it opium today. Call it heroin. And they call it gall. In scriptural times it was called gall. And it gave them gallish behaviour. And it was because of the behaviour they became intoxicated, their behaviour. And they took on sexuality, orgies, this and that, homosexuality, everything, bring it on. And that's what got them divorced. That's what got them their house. They broke into two houses and then they were eventually scattered into the nations. About 2730 years ago. So, that curse lifted about the year 2008, 2009. And the name of Yahusha ever since then has been flooding across the globe. Brothers and sisters, very exciting times. Stay strong. Just be aware of what's going on around us with the young people. That's why you've got to be careful the way you witness. Sorry, let me reword that. That's why you have to be careful the kind of witness you are. of Yahusha and his deliverance. Don't go out there telling every single person, wow, you don't know who you're dealing with. Unclean spirits. Look at this intoxicating state people are in. It's conjuring demonic forces. People are into that. It's not just the witches and warlocks and sorcerers. Everybody's into it now. Brothers and sisters, I want to leave you there. Stay strong. Get rid of the Gallish behaviour. And look up these articles we're putting out. And look up the words and look up the scriptures and see if this behaviour is lingering in the dark corners of your heart. And let Yahusha purge them out. Get purged. Because we need to overcome so that we're clean and we're right. The blood of Yahusha washes us clean of all this madness. Remember that. There's nothing you cannot be forgiven of. Nothing that cannot be forgiven. Yahusha takes it. If you are genuine and honest and repentant to him, he takes it and throws it from one end of the earth to the other. From east is to west, and he forgets about it. You're washed clean. I love you, brothers and sisters. Stay strong. So be it.
Who the love is for, where the love comes from, and when do you give it and why, and who gets it.
Of incredible love.
Incredible love.
Intense. And it would have been so intimate between all of them.
It's like intoxicating. It's like a drug addict. You just want that love. It brings meaning to your life.
And we just say the word love everywhere. It's just very casual, blasé. But we don't really feel like that. We don't really have that feeling.
What about the love? How do you explain this love?
We've been touched by Yahusha and we know that love a little tiny bit. And how intense and how much better it could be if we allowed ourselves to be freer in it and to enjoy it.
But we're just making a point about that reality. What is that? Yeah. What is that? What are we missing?
We started this, revolution almost with you. Where the hell are you going? What are we going to do without you? So
I think it sounds like they're starting to get worried because they're going, where are you going? Where are you going? We can come, we'll do anything. Where are you?
I'm going to set up a place
how we know
for
the way, tell us the way.
And so this amazing love in these humans when they're close to him. This amazing love.
I think that this love is like real and genuine, and it's like it's coming from your heart. This love's more like it's coming from your mind. Does that make sense?
We're not telling people they have to unlearn anything. This is just you coming further out.
That unrighteous behaviour you're talking about. Well, should you just go and love it?
No.
Oh, I can you I love you.
Yahusha didn't.
Voice of Yahusha. Change is happening. Can you feel it shaking up the world? Come on, let everyone have it. Take nothing personal. That's the correct context. Lounge on Yahusha's breast. His love is surging through us, reshaping our behavior. The wedding preparation, our behavior revolution. A behavior revolution. Come on, let everyone have it. Take nothing personal. Let's live correct context and lounge on Yahusha's breast. His love is surging through us, reshaping our behavior. The wedding preparation, a behavior revolution. The wedding preparation, a behavior revolution. A behavior revolution. A behavior revolution.